When rising football star Liam Carter scored the winning goal, no one expected his celebration to turn into a nightmare, plummeting into a hidden ditch that would shock the nation and spark a chilling investigation. The stadium buzzed with an energy that felt almost tangible, each cheer and chant reverberating like a pulse through the stands. Thousands of fans had gathered for the final match of the season, eager to witness a showdown that promised excitement, drama, and unforgettable moments. Among the players on the field, one young footballer drew the eyes of everyone present. He was fast, skilled, and daring, known for moments of brilliance that could turn the tide of a game in an instant. Today, his presence seemed even more commanding, his confidence radiating with every step he took on the pitch. The sun hung low, casting long shadows across the field, painting the grass with streaks of gold. The atmosphere was electric, and the tension among the spectators was almost unbearable. Every pass, every tackle, every movement was followed with rapt attention, as though the fans themselves were part of the match. The clock ticked down mercilessly, and the game had reached a point where one single play could decide the outcome. The crowd was a living entity, a sea of jerseys, flags, and fervent faces, all holding their breath in anticipation. Then it happened. In a blur of movement, the footballer broke free from the defenders, darting with a speed that left everyone stunned. With precision and instinct, he maneuvered the ball past the goalkeeper, sending it into the net in a moment that seemed to freeze time. The stadium erupted in a roar so loud it felt like the walls themselves might crumble. Fans leapt to their feet, hands flying into the air, voices joining together in a collective scream of exhilaration. Amid the chaos, the footballer felt a surge of adrenaline unlike anything he had ever known. He sprinted toward the edge of the pitch, ready to perform the signature celebration that had become his trademark. A moment meant to encapsulate joy, victory, and the sheer thrill of the game. But as he ran, the unexpected happened. Without warning, the ground beneath him shifted, a sudden collapse that swallowed him in an instant. What should have been a triumphant celebration transformed into a scene of panic and disbelief. Spectators froze, some screaming, others unable to comprehend what they had just witnessed. Teammates rushed to the edge, hearts pounding, eyes wide with shock. The footballer had vanished, leaving behind only questions and a chilling silence that seemed to stretch across the stadium. What had caused this collapse? Was it a freak accident, or was something more sinister at play? The joy of victory was replaced with fear, uncertainty, and a sense of impending dread that no one could ignore. The scene at the stadium turned chaotic in an instant. What had been a moment of triumph and jubilation transformed into confusion and horror as the footballer disappeared into the massive ditch. Fans pressed against the barriers, some screaming, others frozen in disbelief, unable to process how such a thing could happen. The stadium staff rushed to the scene, trying to secure the area, but the sheer size and depth of the gaping hole made rescue efforts dangerous and complicated. Emergency responders arrived, sirens blaring, as firefighters and paramedics hurried onto the field. They peered into the abyss, struggling to see anything through the shadows cast by the stadium lights. The ditch was deeper than anyone had anticipated, its walls steep and unstable, threatening to collapse further with every attempt to approach it. The footballers' teammates hovered nearby, panic etched on their faces. Coaches and officials shouted orders, coordinating efforts to prevent the tragedy from worsening. Spectators were evacuated from the front rows, but a tense crowd remained, watching anxiously, unwilling to turn away from the horrifying spectacle. The initial assumption was that this was an accident caused by a previously unnoticed structural weakness in the stadium floor. Yet as experts examined the edges of the ditch, a chilling realization began to take shape. There were strange markings and freshly disturbed soil that suggested more than just natural erosion. It seemed almost deliberate, as though someone had prepared this hidden trap in advance. Rumors swirled among the crowd and social media exploded with speculation, each theory darker than the last. Had this been sabotage? Was someone targeting the footballer specifically? Or was it a broader attempt to create chaos during a high-profile event? The uncertainty made the atmosphere even more tense, as spectators and officials alike grappled with the terrifying possibilities. Rescuers worked tirelessly, lowering ropes, harnesses, and lights into the darkness to locate the player. The silence from below was unnerving, broken only by the occasional shout or the clatter of equipment. Hours passed, yet there was no sign of movement. The footballer's vanishing seemed almost supernatural, as if he had been swallowed by the earth itself. As night fell, investigators began carefully documenting every detail, collecting soil samples and examining the edges of the ditch for clues. Each discovery added new layers to the mystery, confirming that this was far from a simple accident. The crowd's fear grew into a tense, suffocating suspense, as everyone present realized that something far more sinister than anyone had imagined was unfolding in front of their eyes. News of the footballer's disappearance spread like wildfire, capturing attention far beyond the stadium. Television crews, social media influencers, and journalists descended on the scene, all trying to uncover the truth behind the bizarre event. The footage of him vanishing into the giant ditch replayed endlessly on screens, shocking viewers who could hardly believe what they were witnessing. Experts weighed in with theories, some attributing it to a rare structural collapse, while others suggested something far more deliberate. The more the story circulated, the stranger it became. Surveillance cameras from around the stadium were examined, revealing something that made even seasoned investigators uneasy. The footage showed the footballer running toward the edge as expected, yet the ditch seemed to shift and widen subtly in the moments before he fell. It was as if the ground itself had conspired against him, and no natural explanation could fully account for the scene. Conspiracy theories flourished. Some believed rival clubs or powerful gamblers had orchestrated the trap, while others speculated that it could have been a targeted attempt to intimidate or harm a high-profile athlete. Investigators initially dismissed some of the wilder claims, focusing instead on forensic evidence. Soil samples revealed unusual disturbances, and fibers found along the edges of the ditch did not match the surrounding grass or turf. These anomalies suggested human interference, confirming that the collapse had been carefully manipulated rather than accidental. Meanwhile, the public's fascination intensified. Forums and comment sections erupted with theories and guesses, each one more sensational than the last. The footballer's personal life became a topic of intense scrutiny, with reporters digging into social media posts, recent meetings, and even financial records. The growing pile of information hinted at motives that went beyond mere misfortune. Hidden debts, unexplained threats, and mysterious encounters painted a portrait of someone who had unknowingly stepped into a dangerous web of interests far larger than the football field. As days passed without any sign of rescue, the tension mounted. The authorities organized complex search and rescue operations, bringing in experts in excavation and structural engineering. Despite the sophisticated efforts, the footballer remained elusive, his disappearance becoming more baffling with each passing hour. The story had transformed from a shocking accident into a national mystery, capturing the imagination of millions. Every new discovery brought both hope and fear, revealing a deeper, more intricate puzzle. It was clear that what had started as a celebration had become the beginning of an extraordinary and terrifying investigation, one that would challenge assumptions and leave a nation questioning how safe even the most public arenas could truly be. As the investigation deepened, the focus began to shift from the stadium itself to the footballer's personal and professional life. Authorities combed through his past, seeking anything that might explain why he had become the target of such a bizarre and dangerous event. Friends and acquaintances revealed details that had previously gone unnoticed: late-night meetings, cryptic messages, and encounters with individuals who seemed to have shadowy intentions. Some of these figures had ties to gambling rings, while others were linked to local underground networks that thrived on risk, intimidation, and control. Each revelation added complexity to the case, turning it from a simple accident into a layered criminal investigation. Investigators also examined the stadium more closely. Engineers studied the soil and the surrounding infrastructure, discovering evidence of deliberate tampering. Certain sections of the field had been weakened and reshaped, creating the perfect trap for anyone running toward that area. It became increasingly evident that someone had spent days, maybe weeks, preparing this collapse. The terrifying realization settled over everyone involved. This was no random accident. There was intent behind the disappearance, and the motives were still unclear. Meanwhile, the public obsession with the story continued to grow. Media outlets highlighted every minor detail, from the footballer's latest matches to rumors about his personal relationships. Social media became a breeding ground for speculation, with fans and commentators debating the plausibility of foul play, hidden conspiracies, and even supernatural explanations. Forensic teams worked tirelessly to uncover physical evidence, collecting fibers, soil samples, and even microscopic traces that hinted at human manipulation. Each discovery seemed to confirm what the investigators had begun to suspect. The ditch had been engineered to capture and hide someone, as if the stadium had become a stage for a premeditated crime. Pressure mounted on the authorities to explain not only how this had happened, but also who was behind it. Lawyers, engineers, and law enforcement officials collaborated in a race against time, trying to reconstruct the events leading up to the footballer's fall. The deeper they dug, the more dangerous the picture became. Hidden motives, secret alliances, and clandestine operations all pointed toward a network that operated in the shadows, far beyond the reach of ordinary scrutiny. The footballer's disappearance had revealed a world of calculated risk, where even the most public moments could be manipulated by unseen forces. As investigators pieced together the evidence, a chilling question remained. Why had someone singled out this young athlete? And what had they hoped to gain from turning a moment of triumph into a terrifying ordeal? Finally, after days of painstaking investigation, a breakthrough emerged that brought the story into shocking focus. Forensic experts traced the tampering of the stadium grounds to a hidden network that had been using high-profile sporting events as a cover for illegal activities. The ditch, carefully engineered and concealed beneath the turf, was part of a plan designed to intimidate and manipulate. The footballer, however, had become an unintended target, caught in a trap meant for someone else entirely. Rescue operations intensified as authorities pinpointed the exact location of the player beneath the collapsed section. Specialized equipment, including cranes, harnesses, and bright floodlights, was brought in to safely reach him. Teams worked in shifts, navigating the unstable walls of the ditch and carefully extracting debris to avoid causing further collapses. After nearly a week trapped underground, the footballer was found exhausted, injured, but miraculously alive. His survival stunned everyone involved and captivated the nation. The story quickly shifted from fear to relief, yet the danger and intrigue surrounding the incident remained. Investigators continued to uncover the layers behind the scheme. They discovered that the hidden network had exploited structural vulnerabilities in stadiums across the region, using these weaknesses to coerce or intimidate individuals connected to sports and gambling. The footballer's role had been incidental, his fall a cruel twist of fate that highlighted the reach and audacity of those operating in the shadows. Once rescued, the footballer faced a slow recovery, both physically and emotionally. The trauma of the incident, combined with public attention, left lasting scars, and his career faced a period of uncertainty. Authorities vowed to hold those responsible accountable, leading to arrests and court cases that unveiled a web of deception, threats, and criminal activity tied to the sporting world. The stadium where it had all begun was permanently closed for inspection, and new safety protocols were implemented to prevent anything like this from ever happening again. The nation was left with a story that blurred the lines between triumph and tragedy, joy and fear. What had begun as a simple celebration had revealed the hidden dangers that can lurk beneath even the brightest moments. The footballer's fall became a cautionary tale, a reminder that life's most exhilarating victories can sometimes conceal peril, and that unseen forces can shape events in ways no one could ever predict. The incident remained etched in public memory as a chilling but remarkable story of survival, mystery, and the unforeseen consequences of hidden schemes.